There you are. You're looking at your trading platform, specifically at the closed positions thing. You're seeing inside that box the result of your last trade. It's negative in front of it. And the fact that it's a loss isn't necessarily so disturbing to you, but what's more upsetting to you is the fact that that loss is a result of a mistake, and you know it was a mistake. You knew you were doing something that you should have. Maybe you risked too much. Maybe you traded outside your trading plan. Maybe you chased something when you knew you shouldn't. Bottom line is you made a mistake, and now you're seeing the result of that. And that result makes you angry, frustrated, pissed off, upset, whatever. It starts to arouse an emotion in you, and then you can't let it go. And the next thing you know, you're looking at the chart, and all of a sudden you're seeing things out there. Maybe I can make money on that, make that money back. I got to get that money back. And so then you make that trade, and you lose that one, and it's another mistake. And now that effect is compounded. Has that ever happened to you before? So the symptom of what you're experiencing is the emotion, but the emotion isn't the problem in and of itself. The actual problem lies in emotional IQ, and the bottom line is that most of us, regardless of what culture from, aren't built or kind of raised and conditioned with habits that lead to a high emotional IQ. These are things we actually learn later on in life, particularly if we go through certain experiences and approach things with a certain mindset. So in this video, I'm going to teach you in 4 easy steps how you can build your emotional IQ. Number 1. Now, before I jump into the first step to building your emotional IQ, I'm going to ask you a question, which is, if you could trade, play poker, play sports, do whatever it is at a high performance level without emotion, would you do it? Did you raise your hand? If you did, then this is actually a good thing to actually encounter, because it helps us understand what is your relationship to emotions. If you said yes to, I'd like to do this without emotions, well, then you must be viewing emotions as bad, because if they were helpful, then you wouldn't want to get rid of it. But you feel them as, or you understand them or relate to them as they're harmful, so you want to get rid of them. Here's the problem. We actually can't get rid of emotions. They're part of our human experience, our beingness, and just how our brain works, how our brain and body works. The thing is that not all emotions are bad. So the first point in understanding and building your emotional IQ is to transform your relationship to emotions and understand that they're both negative and positive emotions. Once we start to see that in a more balanced way, then we change our relationship to emotions. They start to become healthy for us, or communications for us, or things that we can use in our favor. So the first step in building your emotional IQ is to transform your relationship to emotions. And the first thing you can do with that is to understand that not all emotions are bad. Most likely you remember the emotions that you feel more negatively because your brain is actually wired from an evolutionary perspective to have a negativity bias. And so we're not wired to kind of see the positive right off the bat. And so most likely you have stronger wiring in your brain and stronger memories and emotions around negative emotions versus positive ones. We have to change that relationship. We have to change that to where it's much more balanced. And so we can actually, if you think about this from your personal experience, you can actually see moments while you're trading, playing poker, playing sports, whatever, where you had positive emotions that really helped and benefited you, such as confidence, such as inspiration, such as gratitude, such as pride in the hard work that we've done, and now it's starting to actually bear results. So these are positive emotions that are actually something that fuel things for us, and actually emotions as a whole help you wire things deeper into your brain. So if you want to wire good habits, successful habits, if you want to wire things into your brain that are stronger and more encoded and more deeply wired in so they become a habit and a behavior, well, then we want to actually add emotion to the situation. And so by adding emotion to the situation in our experience, we actually enhance the neuroplasticity and wiring that puts into our brain. This will accelerate your learning curve, this will accelerate your process, and you will be able to remember things more deeply, and that leads to higher skills, better pattern recognition, you name it, we can all understand the benefits of memory and how this will benefit you. Okay, so now you're working with the idea and the concept that there are positive and negative emotions, and that not all emotions are bad, that we can't get rid of emotions as a part of our experience, and our goal is to transform our relationship to emotions so we can start to use them to our advantage. So the second step in building your emotional IQ is to now start to infuse awareness into the emotions, particularly your experience of them, and how fast you are aware of them in relationship to when they happened. So, for example, maybe something happens. Somebody cuts you off on the road, and all of a sudden they do something that's just, really bad for you or something like that, and it disturbs you. And now maybe you're angry or frustrated or something like that. So you experience the emotion. Now, the first step in building awareness around emotions is to be able to recognize the moment in time that you are aware that you are experiencing and engaging that emotion. So, most often in the beginning, your awareness of your emotions happens after the fact. So, somebody cuts you off, you're angry, and then a few moments later, you realize, wait, I was angry over something silly, that was stupid. Or maybe you make a really bad mistake in trading and you're beating yourself up, you're angry, you're depressed, you're disappointed, you're sad, you're fearful, whatever. And then all of a sudden, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a day, a week later, you're like, wow, I was really angry when that happened. And I didn't even know it until now. I didn't even realize how angry I was and how much that distorted my thinking. So in the beginning, your awareness, as you build your awareness of your emotions, that generally happens after the fact. Your goal then is from there to shorten that cycle and window. So start getting it to the point where maybe you're aware of your emotions right before or right after they happen. So it just happened in a second, like, hey, I caught myself there. Then all of a sudden you start to recognize it in real time. Hey, I'm really angry right now and I'm not sure how to relate to this. Or I'm really frustrated or I'm really upset. So that would be in real time. And then your goal with this is actually, in terms of this part of the process, is to actually get to the point where you can see the emotions coming before they actually fully manifest. Kind of like a wave is building up and you see the very beginnings of it, you know it's going to be a big wave. You're able to see that, and like the surfer, you can kind of duck under the wave so it's not a big issue for you. So that's what we're learning to do, is to kind of shorten that window and that gap from the time that the emotion happens and our awareness. Ideally, our awareness is either in real time or before the fact. And that would, if you started off after and then now you can recognize in real time, that's a progression. That's something to be positive about. So awareness around the emotions and their relationship to when the emotion happens. Okay, so now you've started to build your awareness of your experiences of the emotions, not just in trading or poker, but in your everyday life. You start to kind of build your awareness around emotions. In fact, you've gotten to the point that where a lot of the experiences, most of the time, you're able to kind of see it coming ahead of time and decide, hey, is this something I want to surf or is this something I want to duck under? So you've now gotten to this place. The problem is that now we need something. And what happens is that what happens if I have to surf this wave? I can't get out of it. So I got to learn how to ride this wave. Well, if you crash emotionally, that's a problem. You see mistakes in your trading, your poker, overplaying your hands, in trading, you revenge trade, in sports, you try and like hack somebody or hit them because they hit you and you thought it was bad. Whatever the situation is, you need something to kind of flip that energy. So what do? Step number 3, you apply a method. And so a method is some sort of tool or practice that you use to transform your relationship with that emotion. So you use it in the best possible way to your advantage, or you're able to digest the stressful experience. And so with this being said, I'm going to give you a couple options, that some of them that I personally use. One of them, which I've spoken about before, is deep diaphragmatic breathing. So I talked about how this is a practice through your nose, not through your mouth, slow, deep breathing, not just into your chest, but into your diaphragm. And so we talked about this and how it stimulates the 10th cranial nerve, which is your vagus nerve, and how that relaxes your enteric nervous system, and how that also relaxes your organs and your heart rate so that you can digest that anxiety and stress. So deep diaphragmatic breathing, just even a few seconds, maybe a couple minutes, and you can see a shift physiologically in your state. And so this is one method. Another method which I often use is meditation. Meditation, which if you want to learn a practice about meditation, click here. And so that will take you to a link of a great infographic that we did on meditation, the scientific benefits about it, and how it will improve your brain. So definitely click on that link. So with that being said, so using meditation, we can use this as a practice to increase focus, concentration, our ability to digest stress, our ability to maintain a whole brain state, which is what you need for optimal performance. So we can use meditation to kind of set the tone for our day so that we make sure that any experiences we have to go through that mind state and that clarity of our brain on the power of meditation and what that means for your mindset and how much sharper you are and how your memory is better and how your emotional IQ is stronger and how you're able to see things more clearly that you didn't see before. We use that as kind of a preventative technique to help build our mindset and our brains and our awareness in how we relate to emotions. And so we use this to apply as a method to help us say, okay, we need to serve this emotion. We have to use it in a particular way. Let's use it to our advantage. Step number 3 is applying a method. And now number 4, keeping a mindset and emotion journal. So why do we want to keep a mindset and emotion journal, and what are we doing with this? So with the mindset journal, we're basically kind of doing a synopsis at the end of the day, what kind of state our minds were in, how did we start the day, how was it during work and the stressful moments, how is it at the end of the day, what kind of just some very brief notes about our mindset and our general experiences. So this is the first thing we're doing, is we're writing about our mindset here, and I'll explain why in just a second. We're also going to start to note our emotions that we experience, whether in trading or poker or sports or whatever it is. What were the main emotions that came up, particularly the intense ones that kind of threw you off course? And so we want to start to notate those, because then we can start to match, okay, I was in this state of mind and this is the emotion I experienced. And we can start to look for patterns there. Oftentimes the mindset you're in at the time you experience the emotion has a huge impact and determination about how you related to that emotion and what your experience of that emotion was. Hence, with this mindset and emotion journal, we now have a ton of golden information to work with here. So how does that work out? Well, you will start to, if you part of being or increasing your awareness around emotions is being aware of the pattern of them. How frequent are they happening? What are they matched with? What mindsets do I experience when I have this particular emotion? By doing that, we start to become aware of them and the different kind of arenas where we're going to step into those emotions and when we're not going to. So that increases our awareness around these emotions and how we can relate to them. Now, what I've taught you here are things that I have my hardcore students do. I want them to start to kind of map the relationship with all the emotions that they have, because if you were to start doing this as a trader, well, then what would this do for you? It would show you how your brain is wired right now. So your brain will produce cognitive activity that you are most wired to do. So whatever the most dominant wiring in your brain will determine what you think and experience about 90-95% of the time. And so by mapping these emotions, you are now kind of starting to get an understanding, a map of how your brain is wired. And that is something super critical, because now you can see very clearly, this is my obstacle to my success. This is not, this is. So I need to work towards that. And so this is a crucial step that you will eventually take as you go through this process of building your emotional IQ. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up below, and also comment as well on what you really got out of the lesson and what you thought about the most. Also below in the description will be some free resources on how to build your emotional IQ. And make sure also to give an idea or share your thoughts on what you would like in a future lesson on. So until the next time, good luck out there. I hope you're well, and I'll see you in the next video.